Hey, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be going over how I did my tunnel cut on my Matrix Slash as well as my buddy's Matrix Non-Slash. There may have been a few details I left out in this video. Feel free to hit me up on Instagram at 208adrenaline. I can answer any of your questions there or even help walk you through it. And if you're local to Twin Falls, Idaho, or want to drop your sled off, I can do the tunnel cut for you. Might charge a small fee, but we can get her done. All right, here we go. Today, we're gonna do a tunnel cut on the Matrix Slash. First off, you wanna remove the bolts on the inside for your bumper. They're all along the tunnel. And then you remove the 2 bolts on the bottom here for your light. And then you drill out the 2 rivets. And you can remove this. And that allows you good access to these bolts here. Otherwise, you'll fight it. Next step, you're going to want to drill these 2 rivets out. And you're going to want to drill out your side rivets here on either side. Those 2 rivets up there hold your light guard in place. We're eventually going to cut it back here. And then these rivets, it's actually better to take a cutting wheel and cut the heads off down here and just kind of work those out, and then you'll be able to just kind of slap it and pop it loose. Once you have the bottom drilled out, you can see right there, drill out all those rivets. You just kind of tap on here, kind of work it loose, and she'll slide right on out. We're also doing a Matrix regular tunnel, and we're turning it into a slash. We're using the painter's tape to create a template so that we can move this template back to our desired distance and get a nice clean cut. So for my sled, I'm going to be putting a 146 skid underneath it, so I'm actually going to go a little shorter than most people that trim this. I'm going to go about 3 7/8 back. I used my template, kind of measured this rivet, see how far that come back. So it actually still works with the tunnel bag, and it's still practical, but removing material. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mark back here and cut this and drill out those rivets. And then I'm going to take a piece of this that has that, lay it back over top and rivet that in place to hold the wiring up there and just keep it protected. Now we got that drilled out, we got our wire moved out of the way, and we can go ahead and cut this piece. So now we've cut off that piece, which is about right at where we're gonna cut. And then I took the excess and I made a little piece and used a file to kind of smoothen it out, get rid of all the little whiskers. And then what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna take this and use that to rivet over top and just kind of clean this up. So now on this one, we've decided how much we're gonna cut off, which as you can see on a regular Matrix non-slash, it's quite a bit. I think we came out to about 7 5/8 is how much we're cutting off, which we get our final measurement from the plastic here, so we took our measurements and figured out just about how much we wanted to take off this Matrix non-slash. On the slash, we're taking off about 3 5/8. And on the non-slash, we're going to take off 7 5/8. We're adding about 4 inches or so cutting off. And then for here, we measured to see exactly how far back we're going to come and make sure that he can still use these. And then after that, we took a measurement right here to a known point, which was 1 inch off of the edge here, 1 inch, and then we went along here and marked it so that when we moved our template, which we cut right there, that template goes right here, and we can line that up on both sides so that our cut is dead nuts. What we're going to be doing here is making our template. So we taped off the edges here, and we're going to take this pen knife, which came from Deviant Ink, by the way, out of one of their install kits. We're going to go along here and just basically trace this, and then we can move this forward, and it'll be our cut template later on. Just like that. So now here I'm at, from the plastic piece for your tunnel bag mount, I'm at 17 3/4 inches back. That'll be a 3 7/8 cut. And then to mark, to use my template, what I did was I marked a known point, just using this old license plate holder. Mark this known point, and then I come up here and mark this known point. And then I did the same thing on the other side. So I marked my known point, and I marked my known point. And then I come back here, move my template back, line it up here, and I should be able to reference this to get my side-to-side adjustments. So now we've made our cuts. Made sure that everything was out of the way down here. There she is. There's our piece. Our next step is to mark, drill our holes, and then we'll take this piece and we'll rivet it up, mount it to the holes. So now for this next step, we're going to mount our piece. What we did was I held it in place where I wanted it, and Dylan, buddy over here, he marked each rivet hole. And then I'm going to go ahead and drill it from underneath. So now we've got some vice grips, just kind of holding it in place. Got our holes drilled, rivets are in place. Now we just need to pop them in. And then we'll work on mounting up the wire protector and drilling holes for our bumper, cutting the bumper down. That'll pretty much be it. By the way, the wrap's coming off. That's why that piece is off. I just pulled it off at this point so I could get all the goo. But yeah, right on, guys. So now we're riveted on there, and you can see the bottom. I took and riveted that wire protector all the way back. So you're gonna have a little bit of excess here just because this is taller. We're gonna take and line our tape up to this joint and make that angle as smooth as possible. Right here it kind of rolls, which adds a little bit of tunnel rigidity. So I'm gonna try and cut just before that roll. So now we've got it all smoothened out, and here we go. Looks flush. Little man's addicted to sleds already, huh? Huh, Clayton? At this point, we've got the bumper on. What we did was we trimmed it down so that I could retain my footwell here for bow ties. Then had to drill the front two, and then we utilized the back two. So these two right here, those mounted right up. Had to drill one right here, drill that one right there. So here's the side view. That's what it looks like with the bumper on. It turned out all right. We just cut that a little bit, painted it, and I went ahead and cut the back section off this plastic, and I'm going to coil the light up under there, and that like so. So now we're all finished up with the Matryx tunnel cut. This was a non-slash to start out with, and that's our finished product. Nice and clean. And we'll go over here. This was the Matryx slash to start out with. You can see the difference. So to do a kind of final walkthrough of what I've done with the tunnel, I've got it all wrapped. I've got this sick deviant ink wrap going. Right now I've got my 146 skid under it. I can put that in another video for you guys, how to swap the skid over, how to swap track over. And that's kind of universal for even just putting in an aftermarket track the same length on, or if you want to change the length or whatever. But with my tunnel cut, I did 3 5/8 inches, and now you can see it sits pretty well with that 146. We're not going to hang up in the deep snow or even on the hard snow. We're going to decrease the risk of bending our tunnel. By shortening that up, you decrease the drag back here, so that snow just evacuates. It doesn't get recycled back into the track, which is more, it's more weight to throw around. It's more for your track to spin. You're moving that snow twice, which increases your rotational mass. So getting rid of that, man, these things will pull so much harder. They won't really get stuck. They'll just keep digging. And when they do get stuck, they're a little easier to get unstuck. So right here, I've just used the factory bumper, and I cut it down, kind of painted over it, just kind of temporary till I can get an aftermarket bumper for it. Still works with my tunnel bag. I made sure that it was still functional, and yeah, this thing's a riot.